I'm watching a kid who can't shoot fall in love with shooting threes. He's falling in love with shooting threes. For what? Why are you shooting so many threes when you can't shoot? Nobody's respecting your three-point ability.
Kwame Brown just said what everyone in NBA circles has been whispering for months, and he didn't whisper it, he screamed it.
And Bronny is a waste of a roster spot. I don't care what nobody say. He is not going to help the Lakers this year. He ain't going to help them next year, and he ain't going to help them the year after, and they know it. But they can't do nothing about it.
The former NBA player turned YouTube analyst just delivered the most brutally honest breakdown of the Bronny James situation that we've seen yet. And before you rush to the comments screaming hater or jealous, you need to understand something. Kwame Brown knows exactly what it's like to be on the wrong end of NBA criticism. He's been dragged through the mud for years. He's been the punchline. He's been the cautionary tale. So when Kwame talks about double standards in the NBA, when he talks about young players being destroyed by fans and media, he's not theorizing. He's speaking from lived experience. Let's start with the performance that triggered this entire breakdown. 1 for 12 from the field. One made basket on 12 shot attempts in a preseason game where players are literally fighting for their NBA lives. Think about that for a second. 12 shots. That's not some fringe guy getting garbage time minutes and forcing up wild attempts. That's being featured. That's the coaching staff giving you the green light and saying, show us something.
He was featured yesterday. This guy was featured in a summer league game where he didn't even deserve. Do you know how hard it is to get 12 shots in a summer league game? No, you don't. But let me tell you what a summer league or a preseason game is like when somebody's not featuring you and you don't have a coach giving a second string or a second round pick 12 shots in a damn preseason game trying to make sure he can shoot his way to a headline.
And that's the brutal reality nobody wants to acknowledge. Organizations don't gift 12 shot attempts to unproven second-round picks unless they're desperately trying to justify keeping them on the roster. This wasn't an organic offense. This was a manufactured opportunity, and Bronny couldn't capitalize on any of it. 1 for 12. Let that sink in. That's an 8.3% shooting performance. That's historically bad. That's the kind of stat line that gets normal players cut immediately. But Bronny's still there, still on the roster, still getting minutes. Why? Because his last name is James. What made Kwame's analysis so devastating wasn't just pointing out the missed shots, it was breaking down why those shots were being taken in the first place. And this is where the basketball IQ concerns become impossible to ignore. Bronny's falling in love with three-pointers. A kid who can't shoot is settling for the hardest shots in basketball. Pull-up threes, early clock threes, contested threes when defenders aren't even bothering to close out hard because they don't respect his shot.
I'm watching a kid who can't shoot fall in love with shooting threes. He's falling in love with shooting threes. For what? Why are you shooting so many threes when you can't shoot? Nobody's respecting your three-point ability. There's times that Bronny James could drive to the basket or run for layups. He's running to shoot threes. I just don't understand how that makes sense.
This is fundamental basketball awareness. When defenders are going under screens on you, when they're sagging off, when they're basically begging you to shoot, that's not an invitation to jack up contested threes. That's an invitation to attack the basket, get downhill, create for teammates, and find easier shots. But instead, Bronny's playing like he's Steph Curry, settling for threes he has no business taking. And the results speak for themselves. 0 for 8 from three-point range in that game. 0 for 8. And here's where it gets even more frustrating for Kwame and anyone watching objectively. Bronny's 20 years old. He should be the most athletic, fastest, highest-flying player on the court. He should be running the floor in transition, attacking in the open court, getting easy buckets through pure athleticism. But he's not doing any of that. He's spotting up, settling, playing like a veteran who's lost a step rather than a young player who should be bursting with energy.
You mean to tell me a 20-year-old can't outrun nobody? I mean nobody. A fucking 20-year-old. Not one damn layup.
Where are the highlight dunks? Where are the breakaway layups? Where's the athleticism we keep hearing about? It's been over a year, and we still haven't seen a single explosive play from Bronny that makes you think, okay, that's an NBA-level athletic move. That's concerning. That's a red flag, and it suggests that maybe Bronny just doesn't have the physical tools we've been told he has. Kwame absolutely eviscerated the narrative that Bronny is some kind of defensive specialist, and this is where his film breakdown became surgical and devastating. He described watching Bronny on a simple handoff play against Phoenix, one of the worst teams in the league. Basic pick-and-roll action, nothing complex, and Bronny completely botched the defensive coverage. Instead of sliding through the screen and staying attached to his man, Bronny chased over the top and gave up an easy backdoor layup. That's not advanced NBA defense. That's basic basketball that should be instinctual by now.
And I watched Bronny James chase the guy around the top of the three-point line, and the guy get a backdoor layup, and everybody looking at the other players, aiding and everybody else, instead of saying, Bronny, you slide right through and meet him and do not go.
This is fundamental pick-and-roll defense. You slide through. You trust your big man to help. You don't abandon your assignment and leave everyone scrambling to cover for your mistake. These are concepts that high school players understand. But Bronny's making these errors in his second year as a professional, and nobody's holding him accountable. Kwame pointed out another defensive breakdown where Bronny was way out of position, helping at the nail when he had a shooter behind the three-point line. That's not effort-based mistakes. That's not losing track of your man for a second. That's fundamental confusion about where you're supposed to be and what your responsibilities are.
For people that are saying that he's a defensive specialist, how? He don't even know regular defensive concepts. This is not college. You can't go all the way down to the free throw line with these pros. You can't do that.
When analysts and media members call Bronny a defensive specialist, what exactly are they basing that on? Because the film shows a player who's constantly out of position, making mental errors, and failing to execute basic defensive responsibilities. That's not specialist-level defense. That's not even competent NBA defense. That's a player who's confused and overwhelmed. Here's where Kwame's analysis becomes impossible for Lakers fans to ignore: the coaching question. Why isn't JJ Redick holding Bronny accountable like he would any other young player? When rookies and second-year players make fundamental mistakes, they get yanked immediately. They get an earful on the bench. They get challenged publicly and privately. That's how development works. That's how you build mental toughness. That's how you learn what's acceptable at the NBA level. But with Bronny, nothing. No visible accountability. No public coaching. No consequences for repeated mistakes.
And why isn't JJ Redick snatching him out the game and giving him an earful and say, run for layups? Bronny is not getting treated like a normal rookie last year and a now second-year player. We should have seen some improvements by now.
And that's the problem. JJ Redick can't coach Bronny the way he'd coach any other fringe roster player because Bronny isn't any other player. His father is LeBron James. His agent is Rich Paul, the most powerful agent in basketball. One harsh word, one public benching, one honest critique becomes a media firestorm. So Redick has to be careful. He has to walk on eggshells. He has to coach with one hand tied behind his back. And that's not helping Bronny develop. That's protecting a narrative while sacrificing actual player development. One of Kwame's sharpest observations was identifying Bronny's struggles as primarily psychological rather than physical or skill-based. And this diagnosis might be the most accurate thing anyone said about this situation. Bronny plays well in Summer League. He looks comfortable in G League games. He can shoot in practice. But the moment he steps into the Lakers facility with the bright lights, the cameras, and his father watching, everything changes.
He plays well in Summer League. He plays well in environments where he feels comfortable. He does not feel comfortable in the Lakers gym. All of a sudden, a kid that can shoot good in practice, that can shoot good in Summer League, when he goes to LA, all of a sudden he can't hit the broadside of a barn. This is psychological with him. This is all mental.
That's pressure. That's the weight of expectations. That's the impossible burden of trying to prove you belong when deep down you know you're not ready. Think about what Bronny's dealing with mentally. Every shot is scrutinized. Every mistake becomes a headline. Every bad game fuels the nepotism debate. He can't just be a work in progress like other young players. He has to be perfect, or he's proof that he doesn't deserve to be there. That's an impossible mental load for any 20-year-old to carry. Kwame didn't just diagnose the problem, he offered a clear solution, and it's one that's going to make people uncomfortable. Bronny needs to get away from his father, professionally, not personally.
What I saw is a kid that needs to get away from his father. I saw a kid that needs to get away from his father and actually be around young players and actually give it a real shot around people that's going to be able to judge him based on him being a young player.
Send him to a rebuilding team. Get him out of Los Angeles. Put him somewhere with low expectations where he can play through mistakes without it becoming national news. Let him develop his own identity without constantly being compared to the greatest player of his generation. Because right now, Bronny can't breathe in LA. Every possession is magnified. Every error is analyzed. He's trying to figure out who he is as a player while operating under a microscope that would crack most professionals. That's not sustainable, that's not healthy, and it's not producing results. Kwame unleashed on the hypocrisy of NBA fans and media, and this is where his personal experience adds devastating weight to his argument. The same fans defending Bronny and screaming about giving him time had zero problem destroying other young players who struggled. Anthony Bennett got destroyed. Kwame himself got destroyed. Russell Westbrook gets criticized after every bad game. But suddenly, when it's LeBron's son, we're supposed to be patient? We're supposed to ignore terrible performances? We're supposed to pretend like merit doesn't matter.
If everybody else can get called a bust, if everybody else can get called, you get traded for a box of cereal, Russell Westbrook, if everybody else can get called names and all this other shit, then we can at least say Bronny don't deserve to be an NBA player.
That's not hate, that's consistency. You can't have different standards for different players based on whose son they are. Either performance matters or it doesn't. And right now, by any objective measure, Bronny hasn't earned his roster spot. He's there because his father is LeBron James, period. End of story. Kwame made a distinction that deserves way more attention. This isn't nepotism, it's classism. It's about access, it's about power, it's about who you know and who represents you. Other second-round picks don't get 12-shot auditions and survive 1 for 12 performances. Other young players don't get protected from criticism by head coaches and organizations. Other fringe roster guys don't get guaranteed spots regardless of production. But when your father is LeBron and your agent is Rich Paul, the rules change. You get opportunities others would kill for. You get protection others never receive. You get chance after chance after chance while more deserving players get cut. And Kwame is calling it what it is: politics. The same politics that exist everywhere, in your job, in mine, in every industry. Merit matters, but it's not the only thing that matters. Connections matter. Power matters. Access matters.
No, I think this LeBron James situation just proved that politics is in everything. Politics is in everything. Politics is in sports. It's in everything. It's at your job, my job. It's in everything. It's all about politics.
And that reality is hard to swallow for people who want to believe the NBA is purely meritocratic. It's not. It never has been. And the Bronny situation is proving that in real time for everyone to see. Despite all the harsh criticism, Kwame actually offered Bronny legitimate, actionable advice on how to improve and potentially save his NBA career. Run for layups. Stop settling for threes. Use your youth and athleticism. When defenders go under screens, don't bail them out by shooting. Attack downhill and make plays. Study film of players like Jason Kidd who weren't great shooters early on, but found ways to be effective.
If you're going to continue going out there, bro, my positive advice for you, run for layups. If they go up under the screen and roll on you, never shoot the first time. Be patient.
Make teammates better instead of trying to prove yourself by scoring. Get comfortable shooting in the Lakers facility by putting in extra work before and after practice. Simplify your game and play to your actual strengths rather than trying to be something you're not. This isn't hate, this is coaching. This is real advice from someone who understands what it takes to survive in the NBA. But is anyone listening? Is anyone implementing this advice? Or is everyone too afraid to tell Bronny hard truths because of who his father is? Kwame opened his breakdown by talking about Dalton Knecht, and this storyline is almost as important as the Bronny situation itself. The Lakers have been trying to trade Knecht, a player who actually showed legitimate NBA potential as a rookie, to make room and justify keeping Bronny. Think about what that means for Knecht psychologically. You're a young player who showed flashes. You could have been in Rookie of the Year conversations if given consistent minutes. You can shoot, you can finish. You're a legitimate NBA prospect. But your team has been shopping you since last year. Why? To protect a narrative about LeBron's son. To maintain a feel-good father-son story at the expense of actual basketball merit. How is Knecht supposed to feel motivated? How is he supposed to perform knowing his organization doesn't value him? That's demoralizing, that's destructive, and it's exactly what happens when politics override basketball decisions. At the end of the day, Kwame's breakdown wasn't about destroying Bronny James as a person. It was about exposing a broken system that prioritizes narratives over merit, politics over performance, and legacy storylines over actual player development. Is Bronny a bad kid? No. Is he working hard? Probably. Does he deserve all the hate he's getting? That's debatable. But does he deserve an NBA roster spot based on his current performance? Absolutely not. And that's the uncomfortable truth that nobody in mainstream media wants to say out loud. Kwame said it. He backed it up with film analysis. He offered solutions, and now he's getting dragged for being negative or hateful. But sometimes the most respectful thing you can do for a young player is tell them the truth about where they are and what they need to work on. Protecting someone from criticism isn't always helping them. Sometimes it's enabling mediocrity. Bronny James can still have an NBA career, but only if the people around him start being honest about his current level, stop protecting him from accountability, and give him a real development pathway instead of forcing a narrative that basketball hasn't caught up to yet. The question is, will anyone have the courage to make that happen? Or will they keep pushing this story until it's too late? Drop your thoughts below. Is Kwame right? Is this criticism fair? Or is this just hate disguised as analysis? Let's have a real basketball conversation.